For nearly half a century, Raymon Everett Holmberg was one of the most powerful figures in North Dakota politics. He was a senior lawmaker, a budget authority, a trusted steward of public funds. He served longer than almost anyone in modern state legislative history. However, in 2025, that career ended with not retirement or honors, but with a federal prison sentence. This program presents a strictly chronological account of the rise, the investigation, the guilty plea, and the sentencing of Raymon Everett Holmberg, based exclusively on court records, sword admission, and official filings. No speculations, no assumptions, only what was established in federal court. Raymon Everett Holmberg was born on December 10, 1944. Raised in the upper Midwest, he graduated from Climax High School in Minnesota before pursuing a career in public education. From 1967 until 2002, Holmberg worked for Grand Forks Public School. He served as a teacher at first, then a student counselor, and then he became a child fine coordinator. These were roles centered on student welfare, educational access, and community trust. For decades, no criminal allegations were publicly associated with him. He built a reputation rooted in public service. That reputation would later become central to how this case was viewed. In 1976, Holmberg was elected as a Republican to the North Dakota State Senate. He was representing the District 17 in Grand Forks. He would hold that seat for more than 45 years, and during his tenure, he rose to positions of extraordinary influence. He once was the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, chair of Legislative Management, and he even became a leading authority on state budgeting and fiscal oversight. These roles gave him substantial control over public expenditures, including legislative travel reimbursements. By the early 2000s, Holmberg was widely regarded as one of the most influential lawmakers in North Dakota. Few anticipated that federal prosecutors would one day scrutinize his travel history. Court records later confirmed that Holmberg traveled internationally many times under official or KC official designations. Among those trips were at least 3 visits to Prague in the Czech Republic. One was in June 2011, another was in September 2018, and then the third was in June 2019. These trips were described in official records as related to international policy, education, or cultural exchange, and they were reimbursed, at least in parts, through public funds. Years later, federal prosecutors would assert that conduct during these trips formed the foundation of criminal charges. At the time, however, nothing publicly indicated wrongdoing. In November 2021, federal law enforcement executed a search warrant at Holmberg's residence in Grand Forks. Homeland Security investigations led the operation assisted by local authorities. The agents were able to seize digital storage media, computers and electronic devices, and emails and travel records. Holmberg was not publicly charged at that time. The investigation remained sealed and ongoing. He continued serving in the legislature, but federal scrutiny had begun. In March 2022, Holmberg announced he would not seek re-election, citing health concerns. But then on June 1st, 2022, he formally resigned, which was 6 months before his term concluded. The resignation followed public reporting confirming he was under federal investigations. At that time, Holmberg did not admit criminal wrongdoings. The full scope of the investigation remained undisclosed, but that would all change in 2023. On October 26, 2023, a federal grand jury returned an indictment. Holmberg was charged with traveling internationally with the intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. He was charged also with attempted receipt of child sexual abuse material. He was arrested and arraigned in federal court in Fargo, North Dakota. He entered a plea of not guilty. However, despite the charges, he was released under strict court-ordered conditions. He had GPS monitoring. He surrendered his passport. He had travel restrictions put on him, and he had internet restrictions as well. The case appeared headed for trial. Instead, it moved towards a plea agreement. On August 8, 2024, Holmberg entered a guilty plea pursuant to an agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice. In open court, he admitted to traveling to the Czech Republic with intent to engage in commercial sex acts involving minors, participating in quid pro quo sexual arrangements, and possession and viewing child abuse material. These were sworn admissions. As part of the plea agreement, additional charges were dismissed. Holmberg waived his rights to appeal, and the government agreed to recommend a sentence at the lower end of federal guidelines. The case was no longer contested. It was acknowledged, but sentencing remained ahead. After pleading guilty, Holmberg remained on conditional release pending sentencing. Court filings later documented violations of those conditions, including unauthorized internet use and inappropriate traveling. In October 2024, the presiding judge revoked his pretrial release. Holmberg was taken into federal custody. The court determined stricter confinement was necessary before sentencing. On March 26, 2025, Holmberg was sentenced in federal court.
Former North Dakota Senator Ray Holmberg has just been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The sentencing hearing started at 9:30 this morning, and a judge just ruled about 30 minutes ago. Valley News Team's Bobby Falla has been in the courtroom all day. He joins us live with the details. Bobby.
Yeah, hey, Courtney, we just got out of this courtroom about half an hour ago. Like you said, we started at 9:30. We weren't done till about 4:30, and that is when the judge gave down that sentence like you asked for. Now, both the prosecution and the defense, they were asking for somewhere between a 37 to 46 a month sentence. The judge ruling that some of his quotes that saying that the 37 to 46 months was too difficult to understand, and that the crimes that were being committed were far worse than child porn, that they were comparing this case to some of those. So very kind of shocking when it came down. That said that, the sentence should be vary from anywhere from 97 to 121 months. 121 months was the sentence that
10 years, which is 120 months in federal prison, 10 years of supervised release, and mandatory sex offender registration. Completion of a court-approved treatment program as well. In explaining the sentencing, the court cited the seriousness of the admitted conduct, the need of deterrence, and ongoing concerns regarding risk to minors. The sentence exceeded guidelines recommendation. The court's reasoning was placed on the record. Raymon Everett Holmberg's case stands as a documented contrast between decades of public authority and criminal conduct established in the federal court. This account reflects only what was charged, admitted, and adjudicated. No speculation, no embellishment. The sentence is final. The record stands complete. But this case also reflects something broader. Federal investigations into exploitation offense often unfold quietly, sometimes for years before they surface publicly even. And when they do, they serve as a reminder that position, status, and tenure do not place anyone beyond scrutiny. Law enforcement agency continues to investigate similar crimes nationwide, and when evidence meets the legal standard, charges follow. Accountability in the justice system does not move quickly sometimes, but it does move. One case at a time, one indictment at a time, one conviction at a time. And when the process is complete, justice is rendered in a courtroom, on the record, for the public to see. Join me again, guys, for my next video, which will be a similar case, because there are so many lawmakers out there who do wrong by the young women in this country, and also young men, and a lot of times not just in this country. So I'll be covering a few more cases. So please join me while I go ahead and give you guys the update and the information that is much needed. Thank you. Bye.